I'm Julia Rice, and this is an interview for the story Dear America, the Voyage on the Great Titanic.
What's your name and how old are you?
My name is Margaret Ann Brady, and I'm 13 years old.
Oh, nice to meet you, Margaret. Where and who do you live with, Margaret?
I live with my brother because my mother died because of illness, and my father died from falling crates while he was working. And since my brother couldn't care for me, he sent me to the St. Abernathy's orphanage for girls.
Margaret, I am very, very sorry for all of this. What interest do you have of the Titanic?
I have a lot of interest for the Titanic because I was a partner for Mrs. Carstairs.
And in what class did you ride?
Class.
First class. Very nice. And what kind of lady was Mrs. Carstairs?
She was a fine lady.
Very good, very good. Margaret, how did you become a riding partner of the Titanic for such a fine lady?
One of the nuns at St. Abernathy's orphanage for girls heard of this lady, which happens to be Mrs. Carstairs, who needed a partner because her husband couldn't join her on the trip.
How exciting! Oh. Now, Margaret, what were your feelings about riding such a huge ship?
At first, I felt nervous, but it was exciting at the same time.
Why were you nervous?
Because it was such a huge object.
Yes, and it just doesn't seem like such a huge object could float on water, right?
Yes, correct.
That's how I feel. What were some foods you had in a meal aboard the Titanic?
For breakfast one day, we had eggs, kippers, and a potato.
Kippers! Isn't that an interesting name? Kippers! Unique food. Was it delightful?
Yes, it was.
Margaret, what were your feelings and thoughts you had when you first heard that the Titanic was sinking?
I felt that I had to get my partner, Mrs. Carstairs, on a lifeboat and check on the cabin steward, Robert, because he had become a great friend of mine.
Oh, yes. I can imagine what chaos it must have been when the news spread. Am I right? Margaret, once you got in a lifeboat and on the water, did you feel like you needed to save anyone or anything?
No, not at the moment because of all the chaos, and it was pretty much every man for himself.
Indeed, I'm sure it was. Every man for him or herself. It was about survival.
Yes.
How did you feel to have been rescued by the Carpathia?
I felt like it was a saving ship and it should be recognized.
Since your brother William got enough income to pay for a ticket on a ship across the Atlantic to get a living, how did it feel to see him once you hit land?
It had felt like I haven't seen him in a long time, and that I was very thankful.
Oh, you must have been very thankful. Margaret, what an experience this has been for you, the Titanic. And I'm so very thankful to have met you today and that you're doing well and did survive. Thank you, Margaret.
Thank you for your time.